Welcome to Strip Coverlet. I'm Adrian Fort.
And I'm Dalton Gentry. Variety Hour. I'm tired again. I'm just dead on the inside, man.
Wow. That's been true for a while. It's dead on the outside that's not, not becoming of you.
If I would have fell backwards
With that coffee.
30 seconds into Variety Hour, best video we've ever had.
I would have just cut it there and looped it for 30 minutes.
It would have been amazing. I have no luck with Fridays anymore. We film on Fridays usually. Unless I change the schedule because I'm dead or I've got something planned.
And by change the schedule, what Dalton means is text me on Thursday night and say, I'm not going to be down. I can't do it. I'm done. I'm done with everything.
Chaos. I had a cold this week, which was fine. I grit my teeth. I went to work every day. I worked overtime. Midterms were this week, so I got through my midterm. I studied. I got all the reading done. I did well. I was productive as fuck. And last night I was feeling better. Went in, got my midterm done, felt great about it. Got home, finished reading The Road. Holy shit, I actually finished a part of The Road. Felt great. Don't need NyQuil to go to bed Thursday night. I'm fine. I feel better. It was a fucking mistake.
Yeah.
I slept for like 2 hours, and I woke up, and then Adrian Fort channels himself within me, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, just call in. You can't go to work in this situation. You're sleepy. You're just going to sleep at your desk, and you're going to get fired. Just call in. Now you better go. Save that call in. They're expecting you. Show up.
You have responsibility, but you told me that you did something good at work.
I did do something good at work. I can't really...
It worked out.
I'm not going to discuss that, but no, it was a good deal. Good deal at work. Did some good for a guy who really needed something. So that's a huge perk to this job.
Absolutely made a positive change in someone's life.
Yeah, and that feels good. Good times there. I also, throughout the week, only smoked 1 pack of cigarettes for 3 days, at which I realized we have a problem here.
Yeah.
Not only am I productive and going to work and working overtime, I'm only smoking 5 or 6 cigarettes a day.
Yeah, your lungs are recuperating.
Maybe that's why I was sick. All this fresh air and oxygen, it's just terrible.
It's what was that moment from The Simpsons where Mr. Burns goes to the doctor and he says, well, you've got such and such and such and such and such and such, but it's all battling inside your body. And Mr. Burns goes, so, I am in perfect health. And he goes, no. And he pulls out this little replica of a door. And he opens the door, and he's got all these little balls that represent every disease possible. He says, here's your body, here's your immune system. And he takes the balls and he stuffs them towards the door, and nothing can get through because there's so much. And he says, now nothing can get through the door to make you sick, but it's all right here. So, I'm invincible. Actually, at any moment, any one of these balls could just tumble forward in and kill you immediately. So, I'm invincible. It's not exactly how the scene went, but it's something like that.
Ironically enough, I never watched The Simpsons.
What?
Yeah, okay, so, and we're going to have to play the age game here. I feel like I was just on the cusp of I missed The Simpsons.
Yeah.
And
it's still going, ironically, right?
Yeah.
I think it's still going.
Now, my generation was South Park. I remember when I was a kid, I stumbled upon South Park, and I remember my grandfather lost his goddamn mind when he saw an episode of South Park, which very much, a few years back, somebody would have done the same for The Simpsons.
Yeah.
But no, I can honestly say I don't think I've ever watched a full episode of The Simpsons.
Really? That's so strange.
Yeah,
it really is so strange. Because it's just a 5-year difference, but those 5 years, towards the latter end of me being in middle school, I remember watching the new Simpsons every Sunday and thinking, something's going on here.
Okay.
Which, that would have been right when you were being born. So, yeah, it is strange. It's just it's weird. Everyone's a fan of Eminem. Everyone loves Eminem.
Okay.
I was having a conversation before I moved out to St. Joe, so I was 22. I was having a conversation with a guy I worked with him. He was a cashier for me. He was 17. It's a 5-year difference again.
Yeah.
We both loved Eminem. He came out with, I think it's Revival, where he had the song I'm Not Afraid.
Okay.
Years later, he came out with his album. I texted that old friend. I was like, hey, what did you think of this new album? And he said, I thought it was garbage.
Really?
I was like, oh my God, what do you mean you thought it was garbage? It's the best thing he's had since the Eminem show. And then it hit me Eminem put out 3 or 4 terrible albums in a row. But they were catchy, and of course they were on the radio. Of course they went platinum, because it's Eminem. But they were terrible. They were garbage. They were awful. They were a mess. That was the only Eminem he knew. He didn't know the Slim Shady LP. He didn't know the Marshall Mathers LP. He didn't know the Eminem Show. He knew these garbage Eminem songs that were still catchy and still had interesting rhyme schemes, because that's Eminem. He's always going to have that. But he didn't know The Way I Am. He didn't know My Name Is. He didn't know The Real Slim Shady. And those are just the songs that made it on the radio, and he still didn't know those. The only Eminem he ever knew was the Eminem that sucked, and he loved that guy. So when Eminem returned to his roots of turning bars and having interesting rhyme schemes that mean something, and being a little bit of a shithead at the same time, those were his roots. He returned there, and the kids that had learned him only as... what was it? Bombs Over Baghdad was one of his songs. Only knew that Eminem. Had no idea this other Eminem existed.
My poor brain right now is just so muddled. Like, normally I'm like, ooh, talk about this. Ooh, that's a good story. And like right now, like they're all up there. I'm like, nah, I don't know what the fuck to talk about. I love Mumford & Sons. And I have always loved Mumford & Sons. I started with their first album.
Was that the one that sounded like... just fiddle music, like
yeah,
you hear, yeah, okay.
Just sweet fiddle music.
So what was their second one? Was
just
that the
sweet
one
fiddle music.
What about but their third one?
Fucking Coldplay.
Oh, okay.
Now I think we have the same scenario here. So I found Mumford & Sons. I actually I didn't go to their first concert in the United States. Their first one of their first ones, they actually did a Kegs and Eggs in Kansas City for like 100-room audience, which like holy shit, would have loved to have been there. But their first actual tour through the United States, I was at one of the concerts. I've gone to a lot of their shows. I loved the first 2 albums. That was my music. Very Dead South. Very banjo playing, good stomping music. And then the third album rolls around. And it sounds like fucking Coldplay. And it infuriates me. And there's people who are like just now hearing it on the radio and they're like, oh, I really like Mumford & Sons. I'm like, get the fuck out. I do not like you as a person. So they're releasing their 4th album. I'm excited. I sit down and listen to it and like, it seems like they're kind of trying to blend the two, but it's just not back to their roots. So I'm hoping at one point they're just going to be like, you know what, boys, get the banjo. And I'm going to lose my shit and I'll be happy again.
Because their new stuff, they're playing the guitar like a banjo, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
Okay, so my understanding is that
I heard one song from them.
They popped this first album and like, they're like, hey, we had a sound. And it was a very unique sound. It was a newer kind of sound.
But boy, that's all they did.
That is all they did. That is all they did. And I was fine with that because I like one thing and I like it consistently the same thing.
Well, if you want something other than that, you just don't go to them.
Yes. And then they, said, so we did the second album because we had to. But then when we made it, we made the third because that's what we wanted to do. And that's a great story. And I should say, you know what, Mumford & Sons, great. Good for you. But then I'm sitting back here like, no, you make it for fucking me. You don't make it for you. You make it for me.
And it's interesting for me from that standpoint, because like Eminem, when he degraded, you could tell it wasn't what he was wanting to do. It was all he was capable of doing in a drug-induced state. Like, you could tell that it wasn't him making a conscious decision. It's just he was accidentally putting out shitty music.
Whatever happened to the Bloodhound Gang, and why do I care right now?
I don't know
do
what
they
happened
still
to
do
Bloodhound
things?
I don't know, but they're legends, so they don't have to.
Have I told this story on the show before about the listening to Bloodhound Gang when I was like in grade school?
Uh-uh.
So this was back when you had the Napster.
Yeah.
And I downloaded the song "The Roof Is on Fire," and I was listening to it at the computer. My father's sitting over on the corner, and they get to the line, "We don't need water, let the motherfucker burn," and he just looks over, he's like, "The fuck was that?" And I'm like, since then, I've always had this passion for the Bloodhound Gang because just that moment is ingrained in my mind.
Ironically, "We don't need no water, let the motherfucker burn" is about the least offensive line in that song.
Yeah, we stopped playing it after that because he's like, no. And this is my father who, Jim, you're watching, I know you are. This is my father who introduced me when I was 12 years old to the Kentucky Fried Movie. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he sat me and my best friend down at the time. He's like, this is a movie from my childhood. I think you'll enjoy it. And I remember watching scenes and my friend's is he going to turn it off? This seems like he's going to turn this off. And Jim's just laughing along, having a great time. I'm like, I don't know. I remember we went to the movie theater once, and he took me to see the original Scary Movie when it came out. And even the guy who was selling the tickets, he's like, you do realize this is rated R and, like, not appropriate. And Jim just, like, put his wallet down. He's like, I'm going to pay you anyway, so I'd like 3 tickets, please.
Yeah. So it's interesting, though, because that goes right back to The Simpsons and the South Park and your grandfather losing his basket over the South Park, right? There are things from your grandfather's childhood 10 times as offensive as South Park, but we're all comfortable with what it is we grew up with, right?
That makes sense.
So it falls into, like your story with Mumford & Sons. It goes back again to comfort. It doesn't go back to good. If you were objectively taking the songs from their third album and hearing them and not being told they're Mumford & Sons, and hearing things from Mumford & Sons' first album, you'd probably scale them equally. Because they're done by the same artists, and not in an Eminem drug-induced state, right? So, for me, that example is Chris Cornell.
Okay.
I learned of, well, obviously, Soundgarden is where I first heard Chris Cornell, but it's not where I first fell in love with Chris Cornell. For me, it was Audioslave. And boy, was he killing it in Audioslave.
Okay.
And from there, I said, what else has this guy done? And I found his first solo album, which is very acoustic. You might like it, actually. Very acoustic, very different, very out there. But it's not Audioslave. Liked it anyway. Then I started getting into more of the Soundgarden stuff, which is, Soundgarden is often described as Black Sabbath and the Beatles have a baby. I hear it a little bit more like Black Sabbath and Metallica. Early Metallica had a baby.
Okay.
I don't see the Beatles influence. Like, obviously, there's some songs, Black Hole Sun, where you can sort of see some of that influence there. But for me, it's always been more rock and roll-ish, or hard rock, I guess. But then his second solo album came out, and it was the one with You Know My Name, which was on the Casino Royale. And good stuff, a little bit different. Then he released his third album, produced by Timbaland. Very different stuff. Very different stuff.
Let me tie this all together here. So I'm going to a wedding tomorrow. Another one of my close friends is getting married, and this is the third fucking wedding I've been to in 3 months. It's that point in my life. All my close friends are now getting married. Probably going to start having families soon. So you start having those conversations, at home with a significant other, and with yourself. If I have kids, how do I want to raise them? What do I want to pass on to them? And if we're talking musical tastes, my father passed on to me a love for show tunes, which is bizarre if you've ever met the man, classic rock, and 90s country. Because Garth Brooks can do no goddamn wrong. So
except when he's not Garth Brooks, he's what was that Ultra Persona? Where he had the black hair.
Yeah, son of a bitch. It's coming. Anyway. Was it Reba McEntire? Was he moonlighting as Reba? I hope it was. Anyway, I was thinking to myself the other day, passing on music to my children, I feel so terrible for them. Because, again, we have the show tunes. We have that sweet 90s alternative.
Okay.
And then we start, segueing into that folksy, outdoorsy, hippie music, which kids...
What was it, the hipster barbecue?
The hipster barbecue. And even a little further from the hipster barbecue when we're starting to, let's go touch trees and feel good about ourselves. And then just really, really random gangster rap. I really like to throw it in every now and then. I don't know.
Okay.
I've got a passion.
Who are we talking about?
When I say gangster rap, and then the only thing I think was I really want to listen to Return of the Mac right now. That is exactly what I want in my life right now.
Okay.
I like me some Return. 90s R&B, I think, is a more appropriate statement. But oh boy, do I love me some 90s R&B.
So you're not talking about Tech Nine?
I don't like Tech Nine. I've seen Tech Nine. I've seen Tech Nine live. Not my taste.
How can you see him live and not like him?
It was really cool. It was actually at Sporting Kansas City, the soccer team's, I believe it was the championship game. Unannounced, he showed up and did the halftime show.
Cool.
Which was awesome. Really cool to see, from Kansas City. Great thing, but I don't care.
I don't know. I think there are definitely Tech Nine songs which you would enjoy.
That's a good chance, but I don't care. But another thing we've really talked about recently is like, I hope if I have children, one of them reads. Because one of these motherfuckers is going to end up with all these books. And I just like, oh, you know, Dad died, and now I literally have a house full of fucking books.
Kindle.
He scribbled notes in them that make no goddamn sense, so...
Not a kindling.
I don't know. It's just the idea of like what you're going to pass on to the next generation. And hell if I know.
You know, I think this is probably another sign that I'm a sociopath. I do not think about that.
Really?
I will think about it in second degrees, right? What can I provide for my niece?
Okay.
But at no point am I like, you know what? I've got to father this next generation.
Yeah.
You know, it just does not compute.
Okay.
There's nothing in there that says, Adrian, you need to be doing this. Pass on your genes.
For the longest time, I said, absolutely not. I'm not having kids. And no, that's asinine to me. No, that's not for me. Someone else, by all means, not me. At this point, no. I am at no level of financial stability or responsibility to care for a human life.
Yeah.
I am lucky to remember to feed the dogs. So no, I'm good for now, but we'll see. It's always one of those, let's evaluate down the road until it's to the point of like, well, it's now or never. So.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that for some people the idea, I think we've talked about this before, some people the idea of an afterlife is a religious one. Mm-hmm. For some people the idea of an afterlife is how do I live through my offspring? Mm-hmm. For me the idea of an afterlife is how do I influence others and live on through them? So for me that comes to my work.
Writing,
this, you know, I how many times do we get emails from people saying you've changed the way I look at literature? Yeah. I see that as an afterlife. That is something which I am helping someone else to see. That is going to change their life going forward.
Okay, makes sense. And then there's that inciting fear that I just realized that if I do ever have children, and the internet's still a thing in 15 years, my God, they're going to stumble upon this. You know, that's a thing. They're going to be like, oh my God, look at him.
Here's the thing, though. Your father.
Yeah.
What would you give to see videos of your father when he was 27?
True. And that's the interesting thing about the idea of the internet is it's capturing moments that no generation before us has ever had this opportunity. You had maybe a little bit with like the home movies thing, but this is a very, very different aspect. It's going to be very weird going forward.
But there is some irony there, because this generation may be the most documented generation ever. People who vlog their daily lives.
Yeah.
This has never happened before. But everything lives in these computers. So, in the event that there's some electromagnetic pulse or wave or...
Carrington event.
The Carrington event. If there's one of those, they will have nothing from us. No one's writing things down.
Point.
So, no one's taking actual pictures. Who has actual photos?
True.
Hipsters. So they're going to think that it was the 70s for 19 years, for 40, 50 years, it was the 70s, that they've got these Polaroids.
Did I tell you about my Polaroid story?
I know you have several.
New Year's Eve, Polaroid story. So what do I do this New Year's Eve? When did I come back to Strip Cover Lit? What month is it?
6 months ago?
Okay, New Year's Eve, this past one that just went by, super cold. Like it got down to record lows. My pipes froze. You ever had frozen pipes?
I've not.
Sucks. So I am, instead of going out that night, sitting in my bathroom with like 6 heaters and a hairdryer, trying to just heat the pipes enough. So whatever, it's a couple friends came over, just 1 or 2 people. Little sister came over, and she brought her Polaroid camera that she has bought. Spent like $100 on this newfangled Polaroid, and like you get 10 pictures with it for the low price of like $15 in film.
Yeah.
Best fucking invention ever. I had so much fun with that. Amazing. I loved it. But I can't justify spending my own money on it.
Did you know before or after that it is a huge hipster phenomenon to use Polaroids?
Before.
Okay.
Before. I actually...
So it could have played into your decision to have fun.
We went to a party, and please, God, don't make fun of me. We went to a party at one point in time for a group of friends who are fire spinners. That's what they do. They have a... live performance sideshow where they spin fire and do fun things like that.
You're going to preface this story with "Please don't make fun of me, Dalton."
So one of them had a Polaroid camera, and that's when I was first introduced to the new Polaroids. I'm like, my God, this is amazing. I want one. And I think that fad came and went, though. No one talks about them anymore.
Well, when you've got a new Polaroid that has faux wood paneling, I'm just not sure. I'm not sure they're built to last.
The worst part is you spend $100 on this camera and $15 on the film, so you're paying like $1.50 a picture, and then you print it out and you're like, oh, what the fuck do I do with it? I guess I'll take a picture of it and upload it on the Facebooks. I don't know what to do at this point. Look at this picture of a picture.
So you find a shoebox and you put them under your bed.
Is that what you do? Is that what people do with shoeboxes?
Yes.
Oh, I've always just like thrown them away.
See, that's the thing with hipsters. They don't want the entire lifestyle. They have no idea what that's about. But you sons of bitches want the things that you see in 90s television shows. Okay. You don't know the little details. Like you keep your photographs in a shoebox under your bed. And you keep your pornographic magazines between the comforters, right? You don't know about that part. No. Because you've never had pornographic magazines.
Fair. Megan keeps a shoebox, a memory shoebox.
I'm glad this is the direction that's going.
Not the pornographic magazines, that I know of. I've never moved the mattress. But anyway, she keeps a shoebox, and she, we go to concerts, she put concert tickets in there, go do something fun, she puts in there, it's a memory thing. I get that. But that's just, never been a thing that I do. We actually had this discussion earlier.
What about scrapbooking?
I scrapbooked once. That was a horrible idea. Anyway, so we had this conversation earlier of like you drinking alone. I don't do that. I'm very much a social drinker. And I
don't drink with people.
Yeah. I was having this conversation with Megan, and we were talking about like, well, what do you like to do when you're alone?
Who asked who that?
Megan asked me. She's like, what do you enjoy when no one else is around? And I'm like, that's a terrible question. Because honestly, if I'm home alone, I'm going to clean. And if everything's clean, I'm going to clean some more. And then I'll basically just kind of wander. Like, I'll walk into the dining room and kind of just look around, and I'll meander into the kitchen, see if there's anything to do.
You're a sim.
Yeah. Basically so.
You're a sim. You're waiting for something in queue.
Yes, unless I'm given this task. I don't know what to do with myself. Like, I might read a book, but if I have, like, no homework to do, I have no reading to do for the channel, and I just don't feel like reading for myself,
I'll exist.
I'll just exist.
You'll have a little question mark bubble over you.
Yeah, like I'll go look at the painting, and then I'll admire the chair and appreciate how comfortable it looks, and then I'll piss on the floor. I don't know what to do. It doesn't make sense to me, but like, again, furthering this, I hate being told what to do.
I know you hate being told what to do.
Like, I need, the way to approach it is to say, hey...
What if?
What if? And like, oh, that's a great idea. I can roll with this. Yes, let's do that. But if you say, hey, let's do this, I'll be like, that's fucking stupid.
Or if I say, hey, Dalton, you need to read this.
No.
That's fucking stupid.
That's fucking stupid. I'm a hot mess of person.
You have to, well, it's like I say, hipsters don't want the real anything, right? They want to exist in a perhaps, in the great maybe.
Absolutely. So,
hey, man, maybe we'll go do this. That sounds awesome, man. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe.
And we just end up sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
Interesting. We should do like a week with series. Like
we'd put that on Bantam.
We'd put it on Bantam, but like a week with Dalton, where I just like do that live vlog thing. I'd love to do it Truman Show style. I think that'd be terribly boring and hilarious.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, people always talk about, we did this. I'm like, okay. I don't fucking get that. I don't watch a lot of TV shows. I try to play video games. I used to be really into them, and now I can't. Oh my God, I'm my father. The house is clean, and I just sit and enjoy the quiet.
And you don't even have kids.
Son of a bitch. It's all downhill from here.
You need to spring forth a little Dalton to...
I wouldn't wish that upon the world. That's
a little Dalton that'll be born with a man bun and a beard.
Oh my. Yeah,
or maybe a Daltana that's born with a man bun and a beard. How would you effeminize your name? Daltonette?
Daltina?
Daltina?
It's got a good Tina Turner vibe to it. I get behind that.
Daltina Saltina?
Yeah. I want you to know how deliriously tired I am right now. For some reason, Calmer Chameleon stuck in my head by Boy George. That is all I can think about right now.
Dalta Chameleon.
So, if you have anything to talk about right now, I really just like Calmer Chameleon.
You've got that fro.
So I went to Rocky Horror.
Dalton? Okay.
I talked very recently about going out to see Rocky Horror, and hot damn, one of the best performances I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Super, super small theater, maybe fit at most 100 people, but damn was it good. Had a great time. We should go do Rocky Horror in costume.
What do you mean we should go do Rocky Horror? We should go see it in costume?
Yeah, absolutely. I would also not object to performing it.
I will be magenta.
I'm okay with that. I was actually talking to a former teacher of mine, and she's like, "Oh, you're going to dress up as Frank again?" Because I did Frank. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to shave my beard and put forth the effort. She's like, why don't you just go as Magenta with a beard? I'm like,
Magenta might have been my first crush.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I was absolutely in love with Magenta as a child.
That's actually quite terrifying.
Yeah.
I'm slightly concerned for you.
It's a bad sign of things to come, for sure. It doesn't mean anything good is on the way.
Rocky Horror, Richard O'Brien, the man who created Rocky Horror.
Was the original Frankenfurter.
Was the original Frankenfurter. Yeah. Have you ever seen him perform as Frankenfurter?
No.
Horrifying.
Really?
That man is terrifying. Him and the lead singer of Smashing Pumpkins, Billy Collins?
Yeah.
Not Billy Collins. Billy Collins is the poet.
Or no,
Billy Corgan.
Billy Corgan, yeah.
Two men who just, by existing, terrify me.
Okay.
I don't know why. I just get creeped out by them.
Yeah.
Went and saw Smashing Pumpkins live once. I'm like,
Yeah, I when did you see them? Was it before? So he gained weight.
Yeah.
In the 90s, he looked like one of the villain vampires from the Blade series. He looked.
Yes.
He was terrifying.
No, I would say this was probably mid to late 2000s.
Okay.
They were on tour with Cake.
So he looked more like a human at that point.
No.
Really?
He was trying to channel that inner Blade, and no, it was just uncomfortable. And quite honestly, the worst show I've ever seen.
Really?
So Cake went on.
Wait, whoa. Cake and Smashing Pumpkins?
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm pretty sure they just had a bingo cage with all the names of the performers they could afford, and they drew both, and they're like,
oh,
all right.
Well.
But anyway, Cake, phenomenal. Always phenomenal. I love Cake. And then Smashing Pumpkins come on, and they have strobe lights going throughout the entirety of the stage behind giant windmills with more strobe lights. I can't see a goddamn thing. I immediately have a headache. And the only image I get is just this flashing Billy Corgan just creeping around the stage like Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Can't do it. Worst show I've ever seen. I left mid-set. No more.
Really?
Absolutely. Done. Washed my hands of it. I'm done with this. It is bedtime.
It is bedtime?
It is bedtime.
Okay.
End us out here.
Okay. Maybe like this sort of thing if you feel sorry for me having to sit next to Dalton for 30 minutes. Subscribe if you have not. I don't know how you would have stumbled upon Variety Hour if you were not. But we hope to see you next week for the next Variety Hour. We will have some Harry Potter next week. We'll have all sorts of stuff going forward and into 2019, which is the year that will be.
All right. Tell me your brilliant idea.
We look up ideas for